What if I told you there's a secret, one that's been hiding in plain sight for over 2,500 years? A secret so profound, yet so accessible, it doesn't require wealth, fame, or even a stroke of luck to uncover. All it asks for is an open mind and a heart willing to explore. This isn't a secret about magic, mysticism, or blind faith. It's a practical guide, a roadmap for navigating life's toughest challenges and finding clarity, peace, and purpose. Think about your life for a moment. The stress, the uncertainty, the moments of joy that slip away too quickly, leaving behind a sense of longing or dissatisfaction. What if I told you that this secret holds the key to understanding why we feel this way? Not only that, it also shows us how to break free from the endless cycle of wanting more, fearing loss, and chasing happiness that never seems to last. For centuries, countless people have uncovered this secret and transformed their lives. They didn't have superhuman abilities or divine powers. They were ordinary people who chose to see life differently, to approach the world with wisdom and compassion. What's even more extraordinary is that this secret isn't locked away in an ancient monastery or written in a code only scholars can decipher. It's available to everyone, right here, right now. Today, we're diving deep into this Buddhist secret, peeling back the layers of its timeless teachings. This isn't just about theory or philosophy. By the end of this journey, you'll not only understand the core principles of these teachings, you'll also see how they can be applied to your everyday life. Imagine waking up each day with a sense of balance, a mind unclouded by fear or anger, and a heart open to the world. This is your chance to explore the wisdom that has guided humanity for generations. A wisdom that has the power to reshape how you see yourself, your relationships, and the world around you. So let me ask you, are you ready to unlock the Buddhist secret and discover the peace and clarity you've been searching for? Let's begin. Why do we suffer? It's a question we've all asked ourselves at some point. Whether it's the pain of heartbreak, the frustration of failing despite our best efforts, or the quiet sadness that creeps in even during our happiest moments. The Buddha didn't sugarcoat the answer. He said suffering is an inseparable part of life, a truth that applies to all of us. He called this universal reality Dukkha. But let's be clear, suffering isn't a punishment. It's not the result of some higher power's judgment. Instead, it's a natural part of being human. And Dukkha isn't limited to moments of intense pain or sadness. It's much deeper than that. It's the tension you feel when your expectations aren't met. It's the uneasiness that lingers even in moments of joy, because deep down, you know they're fleeting. It's the anxiety of loving something so deeply and realizing it won't last forever. Dukkha is the discomfort we all carry, often without even realizing it. The Buddha didn't stop at simply naming this truth. He wanted us to truly understand it, so he broke Dukkha into 3 categories. First, there's the suffering of pain, both physical and emotional. A broken bone or a broken heart, they're both Dukkha. Then, there's the suffering of change. Think about the joy of buying something new, only to feel disappointed when it eventually wears out. That's Dukkha too. And finally, there's the suffering tied to conditions. The constant struggle to keep things just right, your relationships, your job, your health, because you fear that losing any one of them might shatter your happiness. That's Dukkha in its most subtle form. But understanding Dukkha isn't about becoming hopeless or pessimistic. It's not about dwelling on pain. It's about facing reality with honesty. When we acknowledge that suffering is part of life, we stop running from it. We stop pretending it shouldn't exist. And in that moment of acceptance, we open the door to something extraordinary, the possibility of freedom. This isn't about escaping life's challenges. It's about learning how to meet them with clarity, strength, and wisdom. That's the first step in uncovering the Buddhist secret. And it begins with understanding Dukkha. Once we accept that suffering is an inevitable part of life, the next question naturally arises. Why? What causes this endless cycle of frustration and dissatisfaction? The Buddha gave us a profound answer, one that is as relevant today as it was over 2,500 years ago. He identified the root cause as craving, or Tanha. Craving is that insatiable longing, the endless desire for things to be different than they are. It's the driving force behind our need to acquire, avoid, or control. Think about it for a moment. How often do we tell ourselves, "If only I had this, then I'd be happy"? We chase after possessions, relationships, or accomplishments, convinced they'll fill the void inside us. And maybe, for a moment, they do. But that satisfaction doesn't last. The new car loses its shine, the excitement of a promotion fades, or the thrill of a relationship settles into routine. And just like that, we find ourselves craving again, stuck in an endless loop of wanting more. But it's not just about what we want, it's also about what we fear. We cling to the past, terrified of change, wishing things could stay exactly as they were. Or we try to push away uncomfortable feelings, convincing ourselves that avoiding pain will lead to peace. Yet this clinging only deepens our suffering, leaving us trapped in fear and resistance. The Buddha didn't just name craving, he broke it down into 3 distinct types, each one tying us in different ways. The first is the craving for pleasure, whether it's the allure of physical sensations, the comfort of emotional connections, or the satisfaction of material wealth. It's the constant pursuit of things we think will make us happy. The second is the craving for existence. This might seem strange at first, but it's the deep desire to define ourselves, to possess a sense of permanence, to hold on to our identity, or even seek immortality. We want to matter, to leave a legacy, to be remembered. But this craving is rooted in a fear of impermanence. The third is the craving for non-existence, the desire to escape, to avoid the pain of life, or to disappear altogether. It's the longing to not feel guilt, fear, or discomfort. Sometimes it's the subtle wish to avoid responsibilities, and other times it's a darker yearning for oblivion. These cravings aren't evil, and they're not something to feel ashamed of. They're part of the human condition. But recognizing them for what they are, an endless cycle of desire and dissatisfaction, is the first step toward liberation. Craving blinds us to the present, chaining us to an imaginary future or an idealized past. It promises happiness, but delivers emptiness. The Buddha's insight wasn't just about identifying the cause of suffering, it was about empowering us to break free from it. By understanding our cravings, we can begin to loosen their grip. We can stop chasing shadows and start experiencing life as it truly is. And in that awareness, we take our first real step toward freedom. That's the power of uncovering this Buddhist secret. It's not just knowledge, it's transformation. Here's the part you've been waiting for. The good news. Suffering doesn't have to define us. It doesn't have to be the story we live by or the weight we carry forever. The Buddha taught that the endless cycle of craving, dissatisfaction, and struggle can be broken. He called this state of freedom nirvana. But let's clear something up right away. Nirvana isn't a magical paradise or some faraway place you reach after death. It's a state of being, here and now, where the mind is liberated from craving, anger, and ignorance. Picture this for a moment. A mind unclouded by anxiety, untouched by greed, and free from the chains of resentment. Imagine being able to face life's challenges without the fear that holds you back or the frustrations that weigh you down. Nirvana isn't about escaping the world or its realities. It's about meeting life fully, but without the unnecessary suffering we so often create for ourselves. What does this actually look like? It's the clarity to see things as they are, without the confusion of expectations. It's the compassion that replaces fear and bitterness, allowing us to connect with others deeply and genuinely. It's not perfection, it's liberation. A freedom that doesn't rely on external circumstances, but comes from within. You don't need to be rich, famous, or special to experience it. You just need to understand and practice the path that leads there. This is the promise of Buddhism. Not a guarantee that life will suddenly become easy, but the possibility to live without the weight of unnecessary suffering. It's about cultivating a mind that can rest in peace, no matter what storm is raging around it. Imagine waking up in the morning and feeling a profound sense of calm, knowing that your happiness doesn't depend on what happens that day. That's nirvana, not a life without challenges, but a life where those challenges no longer control you. And here's the most beautiful part. This isn't reserved for saints or monks in distant temples. It's available to you, right now, in the life you're already living. Nirvana isn't something you achieve someday. It's a transformation that happens moment by moment, as you learn to let go of what binds you. This is the ultimate secret of Buddhism, not an escape from life, but a deeper way of living it. It's a liberation that begins the moment you take the first step on the path. So ask yourself, are you ready to let go of suffering and discover what freedom truly feels like? This journey is yours to begin. To reach the state of liberation, the Buddha didn't leave us wandering in the dark. He offered a clear roadmap, the Noble Eightfold Path. This isn't a set of rigid rules, but a practical guide to transform the way we think, act, and perceive the world. It's a path to align our lives with wisdom, compassion, and clarity. The journey begins with right view, the ability to see life as it truly is. This means understanding the Four Noble Truths, recognizing that suffering exists, understanding its causes, knowing it can be overcome, and committing to the path that leads to freedom. Right view is like adjusting your compass to point toward truth, so every step you take is grounded in reality, not illusion. Next is right thought, which involves cultivating intentions rooted in kindness, generosity, and non-harm. It's about letting go of desires that trap us, abandoning harmful attitudes like resentment and envy, and replacing them with thoughts of compassion and goodwill. Imagine the peace that comes when your inner dialogue shifts from "what can I take?" to "how can I give?" From there, we move to right speech, using words as a tool for truth and connection, not harm. The Buddha urged us to avoid lying, gossiping, harsh words, and frivolous chatter. Think about how powerful words are. They can build bridges or burn them. Right speech challenges us to pause and ask, does what I'm about to say help or hurt? Speaking truthfully and kindly is a small act that can create big ripples in the lives of those around us. Then comes right action, which calls us to live ethically by refraining from killing, stealing, or causing harm. It's not about moral policing. It's about recognizing that our actions affect others. Right action asks us to move through the world with care, leaving it better than we found it. Next is right livelihood, urging us to earn a living in ways that don't exploit or harm. This means avoiding work that involves dishonesty, destruction, or the suffering of others. It's about making choices that align with your values, so even the way you earn your daily bread contributes to the greater good. Right effort follows, guiding us to nurture positive qualities and abandon destructive ones. It's not about exhausting ourselves, but finding balance, making steady progress toward kindness, patience, and self-awareness, while leaving behind greed, anger, and ignorance. Imagine your mind as a garden, and right effort is the gentle, consistent care that keeps it blooming. Then there's right mindfulness, the practice of being fully present in the moment. It's about observing your thoughts, feelings, and body with curiosity, not judgment. Mindfulness anchors us, pulling us out of the chaos of past regrets or future worries, and teaching us to truly experience life as it unfolds. Finally, we arrive at right concentration, which helps us focus our minds through meditation. It's the ability to direct our thoughts inward, to find stillness and clarity. This isn't about escaping the world, but understanding it more deeply. In meditation, we create space to see our lives with fresh eyes and connect with something greater than ourselves. Each of these 8 steps is interconnected. Together, they form a holistic guide to living with integrity, wisdom, and compassion. The Noble Eightfold Path isn't about reaching perfection. It's about progress, one step at a time. Imagine walking this path, not to escape life, but to engage with it fully, with a heart unburdened by suffering and a mind illuminated by truth. That is the essence of the Buddhist secret, a life transformed, not by magic, but by mindful, purposeful living. So, which step will you take first? Let's take a moment to talk about karma, one of the most misunderstood concepts in Buddhism. Many people think of karma as a system of cosmic punishment or reward, a kind of spiritual scoreboard keeping track of our good and bad deeds. But that's not what karma is about. In reality, karma is simply the natural law of cause and effect. The Buddha described it as the consequences of our actions, words, and even our thoughts. Think of karma as planting seeds in a garden. Every action, every word, every intention is a seed we sow. When we plant seeds of kindness, compassion, and integrity, those seeds grow into peace, happiness, and harmony, not just for others, but for ourselves as well. On the other hand, when we plant seeds of deceit, anger, or greed, they grow into suffering, division, and regret. The garden of our life becomes a reflection of the seeds we've chosen to nurture. But here's something important to understand. Karma isn't always immediate. Just like a seed takes time to grow, the results of our actions might not be seen right away. Some effects might show up in this life, others in the future, and, as Buddhism teaches, some may even span lifetimes. This isn't about superstition. It's a way of understanding how our choices ripple through time, shaping not only our present, but also what comes next. Karma is also not about being judged by some higher power. There's no divine ledger keeping track of your deeds. Karma is natural. It's cause and effect in its purest form. If you throw a pebble into a pond, it creates ripples. That's not a punishment or a reward. It's just what happens. And in the same way, the energy we put into the world inevitably comes back to us. Understanding karma isn't about fear of retribution. It's about empowerment. It reminds us that every choice we make matters. Every small act of kindness, every thoughtful word, every moment of generosity contributes to the kind of life we're building for ourselves and others. It's a call to take responsibility for our actions, not because someone else is watching, but because we're the ones shaping our own destiny. So, ask yourself, what seeds are you planting today? Are you nurturing a life of peace and compassion? Or are you allowing anger and negativity to take root? The beauty of karma is that it's never too late to start planting better seeds. With every choice, we have the power to shape a brighter, kinder future, not just for ourselves, but for everyone we touch. That's the real secret of karma. It's not about fate. It's about the freedom to choose the life you want to create, moment by moment. Rebirth is one of the most intriguing and debated aspects of Buddhism. Often confused with reincarnation, the two concepts are fundamentally different. Reincarnation suggests an eternal soul that moves from one life to the next, retaining its identity through an endless cycle. But Buddhism doesn't teach about an unchanging soul. Instead, rebirth is the continuation of patterns, shaped by the karma we create through our actions, words, and thoughts. To truly grasp this, imagine lighting one candle with another. The flame of the first candle passes to the next, but it isn't the same flame. It's a transfer of energy, a continuation of something that's no longer identical to its source. In the same way, rebirth isn't about a permanent self, moving from one life to another. It's the natural continuation of causes and effects, our intentions and deeds setting the stage for what comes next. This perspective can feel abstract, but it's deeply rooted in the way we experience life even now. Think of your choices and actions like ripples on a pond. When you toss a stone, the ripples spread far and wide, influencing areas far beyond where the stone landed. Rebirth operates in a similar way, as the energy and consequences of our actions ripple into the future, shaping outcomes we may not immediately see. And here's the beauty of it. Whether or not you take rebirth literally, the concept offers a powerful metaphor. It's a reminder that what we do now matters, not just in this moment, but far beyond it. Every act of kindness, every moment of anger, every decision we make leaves an imprint, setting the tone for what unfolds next. Rebirth challenges us to live with intention. It asks us to take responsibility for the legacy we're creating, not in the sense of worldly achievements, but in the patterns of kindness, compassion, and understanding we cultivate. It's not about fear of what might happen after death. It's about recognizing that our actions have lasting significance, shaping not only our future, but the lives of those around us. This idea also brings hope. It means we're not bound by past mistakes. Each moment offers a chance to begin again, to create new patterns, to plant seeds of growth and healing. The cycle of rebirth isn't a trap. It's an opportunity, a chance to continuously learn, evolve, and contribute to the world in meaningful ways. So whether you see rebirth as a literal process or as a metaphor, the message is the same. Your actions echo through time. They shape not only your experience but also the world around you. And with every choice, you have the power to create ripples of positive change that extend far beyond what you can see. That's the heart of the Buddhist Secret, an invitation to live with purpose, knowing that every moment holds the potential for transformation. The Buddha taught 3 profound truths about existence, truths that are as relevant today as they were over 2,500 years ago. These truths are impermanence, suffering, and non-self. They aren't just abstract ideas, they're realities that we experience in our daily lives, whether we recognize them or not. Understanding these truths isn't about detachment from life. It's about seeing life more clearly, with wisdom and compassion. Let's start with impermanence, or anicca. This truth reminds us that everything is constantly changing. Think about it. Happiness, pain, success, failure, love, loss. None of it stays the same. Even the moments we cherish most are fleeting, passing like clouds in the sky. This can feel unsettling at first, but impermanence isn't something to fear. Instead, it's an invitation to appreciate the present, to savor what we have while we have it. When we truly grasp that nothing lasts forever, we stop clinging to the good or fearing the bad. We learn to embrace life as it is, in all its beautiful imperfection. Next is suffering, or dukkha. This isn't just the big, obvious pain of loss or hardship. It's also the subtle dissatisfaction we feel even when things seem fine. It's the restlessness that comes from chasing happiness in things that can never truly fulfill us. Dukkha isn't about being pessimistic. It's about recognizing that our suffering often comes from resisting the natural flow of life. When we expect things to be perfect, permanent, or entirely under our control, we set ourselves up for disappointment. By acknowledging this truth, we open the door to understanding and freedom. And finally, there's non-self, or anatta. This truth challenges one of our deepest assumptions, that we have a permanent, unchanging identity. But think about it. Are you the same person you were 5 years ago? 10 years ago? Just as a river flows and changes, so do we. Our thoughts, emotions, and even our bodies are in constant motion. This doesn't mean we don't exist. It means we're not bound by fixed labels or rigid definitions of who we are. Anatta is a reminder to let go of the idea of a self that needs to be protected or perfected. It frees us from the burden of clinging to who we think we're supposed to be and allows us to embrace the fluidity of who we truly are. Together, these 3 truths, impermanence, suffering, and non-self, form a powerful lens through which we can view the world. They help us let go of attachments that cause us pain and open us up to greater acceptance, resilience, and peace. These truths don't ask us to withdraw from life. They invite us to engage with it more fully, with eyes wide open and a heart that's ready to embrace both the joys and challenges of being human. Understanding these truths isn't about giving up. It's about waking up. It's about seeing the world not as we wish it to be, but as it truly is. And in that clarity, we find freedom. That's the essence of this Buddhist secret. Not an escape from life, but a deeper, richer way of living it. What makes us who we are? It's a question that has puzzled humanity for centuries. Is it our body, our thoughts, our emotions? Buddhism offers a profound answer. What we think of as self isn't a single, unchanging entity. Instead, it's made up of 5 interdependent components, known as the Five Aggregates. Together, they create the experience of being you. But here's the key. These aggregates are constantly changing, interconnected, and impermanent. Let's explore what this really means. The first aggregate is form, our physical body. It's the tangible part of who we are, made up of flesh, bones, and organs. It's how we interact with the world through touch, movement, and sensation. But even our body is constantly evolving. Cells die and regenerate. Our appearance changes, and we grow older. Our form is a part of us, but it's not the entirety of who we are. Next is feelings, the sensations we experience. These can be pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Imagine touching something soft and warm. That's a pleasant sensation. Or think about the sting of a paper cut. That's an unpleasant one. And then there are the moments that feel neither good nor bad, like the sensation of simply sitting still. Feelings arise from our interactions with the world, but they're fleeting. They come and go, like waves on the surface of the ocean. Then we have perceptions, how we interpret the world around us. Perception is what allows us to recognize a smile, understand the sound of laughter, or label a tree as beautiful. It's the process of assigning meaning to the raw data we receive through our senses. But perceptions aren't fixed. They're shaped by our experiences, memories, and biases. What we perceive is a reflection of our mind as much as it is of the external world. The fourth aggregate is mental formations, our habits, emotions, desires, and intentions. These are the driving forces behind our actions. For example, the habit of kindness may lead us to help someone in need, while feelings of anger may push us to lash out. Mental formations are deeply personal and powerful, but they're also dynamic, constantly influenced by our environment and choices. Finally, there's consciousness, our awareness of experiences. Consciousness is like the light that illuminates everything else. It's what allows us to know we're feeling something, perceiving something, or thinking something. But even consciousness isn't static. It changes moment by moment, shaped by what we encounter and how we respond. Together, these 5 aggregates, form, feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness, make up what we call self. But here's the secret. There's no permanent, unchanging me within them. What we think of as I is a process, a collection of experiences and interactions, constantly in flux. It's like a river, always flowing, never the same, yet still recognizable as a river. Understanding this can be both liberating and transformative. It frees us from clinging to a rigid sense of identity and allows us to see ourselves and others with greater compassion. We're not fixed beings, trapped by our past or defined by our mistakes. We're dynamic, ever-changing, and capable of growth. This insight isn't about denying who we are. It's about seeing ourselves more clearly, less as isolated individuals, and more as interconnected parts of a greater whole. By embracing this truth, we let go of the need to control or cling to a false sense of permanence. And in doing so, we open ourselves to a life of deeper understanding and freedom. That's the heart of this Buddhist secret. The realization that what makes us us is not something we need to protect or perfect, but something we can continuously explore with curiosity and grace. Mindfulness lies at the very heart of Buddhist practice, but it's much more than sitting cross-legged in silence or retreating to a quiet corner of the world. Mindfulness is a way of being, a commitment to fully experiencing life as it unfolds, moment by moment. It's about showing up, not just physically, but with your full awareness and presence in everything you do. Think about your day. How often do you truly notice what's happening around you or within you? When you eat, are you tasting each bite, or is your mind somewhere else, scrolling through worries or plans? When you listen to someone, do you truly hear their words, or are you already forming your response? Mindfulness invites us to pause, to step out of autopilot, and to immerse ourselves fully in the present moment. When you eat, savor the flavors and textures of your food. Notice the colors, the aromas, the way it feels in your mouth. When you listen, don't just hear the words, hear the emotions, the intentions behind them. When you feel an emotion rising within you, don't push it away or let it sweep you off your feet. Instead, observe it with curiosity. What is it trying to tell you? Where do you feel it in your body? Mindfulness isn't about controlling these experiences. It's about understanding them, moment by moment. At its core, mindfulness is a practice of compassion, for yourself and for the world around you. It's a way of engaging with life that doesn't judge or resist what is, but instead meets it with openness and kindness. Even in the most mundane tasks, washing dishes, folding clothes, or walking to your car, mindfulness transforms the ordinary into something meaningful. It's not about what you're doing, it's about how you're doing it. Through mindfulness, we can break free from the endless cycle of rushing and reacting. It helps us step back from stress, creating space for clarity and calm. Over time, it deepens our connection to ourselves, allowing us to notice our needs, our patterns, and even our pain with a sense of acceptance rather than resistance. And as we become more present with ourselves, we naturally extend that presence to others. We become better listeners, more empathetic friends, and more engaged members of our communities. Mindfulness isn't something you master in a single day. It's a journey, one that begins with small, simple steps. Maybe it's pausing before your first sip of coffee to feel the warmth of the cup in your hands. Maybe it's taking a single deep breath before responding in a heated conversation. These moments may seem small, but they are powerful acts of presence that ripple outward into the rest of your life. The secret of mindfulness isn't that it removes life's challenges, it's that it changes the way we meet them. Instead of being consumed by worries about the past or fears of the future, mindfulness anchors us in the only moment we truly have, this one. And in that moment, we find not just calm, but the clarity and courage to live fully. That's the gift of mindfulness, a way to embrace life as it is, with all its complexity, beauty, and impermanence. How can we bring these ancient teachings into the chaos and complexity of our 21st century lives? How can wisdom born over 2,500 years ago help us navigate a world of deadlines, distractions, and constant change? The answer lies in simplicity. These teachings aren't about adding something new or extra to your life. They're about reshaping how you live the life you already have. It all starts with small, intentional steps. Begin with mindfulness, but not as an abstract concept or something reserved for quiet moments of meditation. Practice mindfulness in the routine of your daily life. When you wake up in the morning, pause for just a few seconds before reaching for your phone. Feel the warmth of the sunlight or the weight of the blanket on your body. When you eat, really taste your food instead of rushing through it while thinking about what's next. When you talk to someone, give them your full attention. Listen not just to their words, but to the emotions they're expressing. Another powerful practice is reflecting on impermanence, or the fact that everything changes. This isn't meant to make you sad. It's a reminder to let go of frustration when things don't go your way, and to appreciate the fleeting beauty of joyful moments. When you face something challenging, a tough conversation, a moment of failure, or even a bad day, pause and remind yourself that this too will pass. And when you're experiencing something wonderful, savor it fully, knowing that its impermanence makes it all the more precious. Approach the struggles in your life with a new perspective. Instead of seeing suffering as something to avoid or escape, view it as a teacher. Every challenge holds a lesson, every frustration an opportunity to grow. The Buddha's teachings remind us that while we can't always control what happens to us, we can control how we respond. With practice, even moments of pain can become moments of insight and transformation. The beauty of Buddhism is that it doesn't ask you to escape the world or abandon your responsibilities. It's not about retreating to a mountaintop or rejecting modern life. Instead, it's about transforming how you engage with the world, bringing mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom into every action, no matter how big or small. And here's something important to understand. These teachings aren't rigid rules. They're tools, meant to help you navigate your own unique path. There's no one-size-fits-all way to practice. The Buddha didn't offer a checklist for enlightenment. He offered principles to guide us. Use them in the way that works best for you, in the context of your own life. Maybe for you, it starts with a single breath before responding in a heated conversation. Maybe it's journaling your thoughts at the end of a stressful day. Maybe it's carving out 5 minutes in the morning to reflect on what you're grateful for. Each small act builds on the next, creating a life that feels more grounded, intentional, and free. Bringing these teachings into your life doesn't mean striving for perfection. It means being present for the journey, embracing its ups and downs with open eyes and an open heart. This is the secret of Buddhism, not to escape life, but to fully live it, with all its beauty, messiness, and impermanence. One step at a time, one moment at a time, you have the power to transform not just your own experience, but the way you touch the lives of others. And it all begins right now, with the choices you make in this moment. The secret of Buddhism isn't hidden away in ancient scrolls or locked within the walls of distant monasteries. It's not reserved for monks or scholars, nor is it something only accessible after years of study or meditation. The true secret lies in how we live, how we think, and how we treat one another. It's not about rituals or rigid doctrines. It's about the choices we make every day and the mindset we bring to each moment. The Buddha's teachings are not commands to be followed blindly. They're an invitation, a gentle yet profound reminder that a better way of living is always possible. They call us to look inward, to rediscover the wisdom, compassion, and clarity that have been within us all along. They're not about transforming into someone else, but about uncovering your truest self, the version of you that's already connected to peace and understanding. The path of Buddhism doesn't demand perfection or immediate answers. Whether you take small, hesitant steps or leap forward with determination, the path is always there, waiting for you. Every moment is a chance to begin again, to align your actions with kindness, to approach challenges with wisdom, and to see the world through the lens of compassion. But here's the most empowering part. The choice is entirely yours. This secret isn't something I can hand to you, nor is it something anyone else can impose on you. It's yours to discover, to embrace, and to live in your own way. What will you do with it? Will you let it inspire a new perspective on life? Will it spark curiosity and lead you to ask deeper questions? Or will it guide you toward a clearer, more compassionate understanding of yourself and the world around you? The journey ahead isn't always easy, but it's profoundly rewarding. With every mindful breath, every moment of reflection, and every act of kindness, you'll uncover a sense of peace and clarity that transcends life's daily struggles. This isn't about escaping the world. It's about fully living in it, with an open heart and a steady mind. So as we close, I leave you with this thought. You don't have to wait for the perfect moment to start. The path is here, now, in this very moment. May this secret inspire you to take the first step, however small. May it bring you closer to the peace, clarity, and joy that are already within your reach. And as you walk this path, may you find not just answers, but a deeper sense of connection to yourself and the world. The journey is yours, so where will it take you?